The red dress clung to her curves like a whispered sin, and Kang Min-ho felt something crack open inside his chest, something violent, possessive, unbearably alive. His secretary stood in his doorway, unaware she'd just become his entire world. Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories TV, beasties. Please like, share, and subscribe. Kang Min-ho's office occupied the top floor of the Kang Tower in Seoul's heart, where glass and steel pierced the sky like a blade. He ruled an empire most people whispered about. Legitimate businesses, fronting operations that moved through darkness. At 32, he'd built himself into something untouchable. Feared. Alone. Until Serafina Cole walked into his life 6 months ago. She'd applied for a secretary position, her resume pristine, her references impeccable. American-born with Korean language skills, she'd moved to Seoul for a fresh start after a broken engagement left her wounded. He'd hired her for her competence. He'd kept her because something about her presence settled the constant violence in his mind. Now, standing in his doorway, wearing that crimson dress, she'd just shattered his carefully constructed control. "Where are you going in that dress?" The words came out sharp, edged with something he refused to name. Serafina's dark eyes widened. Her curves filled the dress in ways that made his hands curl into fists. The fabric hugged her waist, accentuating every line of her beautiful body. She was breathtaking. And she was leaving. "It's Friday evening, Mr. Kang. I have plans." Her voice held professional politeness, but he caught the slight tremor underneath. Plans. He rose from his desk, his 6-foot frame suddenly feeling too large for the room. The city sprawled beneath them through floor-to-ceiling windows, Seoul glittering like scattered diamonds. "What plans?" "A date." She lifted her chin, and he wanted to kiss the defiance right off her lips. "Is there something you needed? Because my shift ended 20 minutes ago." The word date landed like a bullet. Min-ho felt rage bloom hot and irrational in his chest. Some man would sit across from her tonight. Some men would watch her smile, hear her laugh, maybe touch her hand across the table. Maybe more. The thought made him homicidal. "Cancel it," he said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Her eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." He moved around his desk, closing the distance between them. His expensive shoes made no sound on the marble floor. "Cancel it." "Mr. Kang, you can't be serious. I need you to work late." The lie came easily. "Important documents need translation. Korean to English. The Busan contract." Serafina's expression shifted from surprise to frustration. "You've had all week to mention this. The Busan contract has been on your desk since Monday. I'm not canceling my plans because you suddenly remembered paperwork." She turned to leave, and Min-ho's hand shot out, catching her wrist. The core contact sent electricity racing up his arm. Her skin was soft, warm, perfect. She gasped, and he realized he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. "Don't go." His voice came out rougher than intended, almost pleading. For a heartbeat, something flickered in her eyes. Awareness, curiosity, maybe fear. Then she pulled her hand free, and he felt the loss like a physical ache. "Good night, Mr. Kang." She walked away, her heels clicking against the floor, and Min-ho stood frozen, watching the woman who'd just become his obsession disappear into the elevator. The doors closed. She was gone. He stood there for 10 minutes, staring at nothing, feeling like someone had reached into his chest and rearranged everything vital. The next morning, Min-ho arrived at the office before dawn. He'd spent the night imagining Serafina with another man, each scenario worse than the last. Sleep had been impossible. Control had been impossible. He'd paced his penthouse like a caged animal, drinking whiskey that didn't dull the edge. Around 3 a.m., he'd made calls, found out everything about her date, a marketing executive named David Chen. 30 years old, decent salary, clean record. By sunrise, David had received a job offer in Singapore. Generous salary, immediate start date. He'd accepted. Minho told himself it was a business strategy. He told himself it had nothing to do with the way Serafina's smile had haunted him all night. He told himself he wasn't becoming someone he didn't recognize. He was lying. When she arrived at 8, she wore a navy suit that should have been professional, but somehow still made his pulse quicken. The skirt hugged her hips. Her white blouse was pristine. She'd pulled her dark hair into a sleek ponytail. She set his coffee on the desk without meeting his eyes, and the distance felt like punishment. "Good morning," she said coolly. "Good morning, Miss Cole." He watched her move around his office with practiced efficiency, organizing files, checking his calendar, being perfect and untouchable. "How was your evening?" Her hands paused over a stack of contracts. She didn't look at him. "My date canceled. Last minute." "I see." He kept his expression neutral, even as satisfaction purred through him. His loss. She looked at him then, really looked at him, and he wondered if she could see the possessiveness written all over his face. Her gaze was searching, suspicious. "Yes," she said quietly. "I suppose it was." The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken questions. Minho wanted to tell her everything, wanted to admit what he'd done, wanted to pull her into his arms and kiss away every thought of other men. Instead, he said, "The translation work can wait until Monday." "Of course, Mr. Kang." She returned to her desk in the adjoining room, and Minho watched her through the glass partition, wondering when exactly he'd lost his mind. The following week passed in exquisite tension. Minho found excuses to keep her late, to be near her, to hear her voice. He learned she took her coffee with cream and 2 sugars. She had a small scar on her left wrist from a childhood fall. When she concentrated, she bit her lower lip in a way that made him want to lean across his desk and taste it himself. He was obsessed, completely, dangerously. Serafina seemed oblivious, maintaining professional distance, even as he felt the space between them crackling with unspoken things. She was kind to the junior staff, bringing homemade cookies on birthdays. She laughed at terrible jokes. She worked harder than anyone in the building. She was perfect, and she was terrified of him. He could see it in the way she never quite relaxed in his presence, the way her shoulders tensed when he stood too close. Wednesday afternoon, he caught one of the junior accountants flirting with her by the coffee machine. The man, what was his name? Kim something. Leaned too close, made her laugh, touched her arm. Minho's vision went red. "Mr. Kim." His voice cut through the office chatter like a blade. "My office. Now." The accountant went pale. Serafina's eyes widened. Minho walked back to his office and waited. Kim appeared 2 minutes later, trembling. "Yes, Mr. Kang? You're being transferred. Busan office. Effective immediately." "What?" "But sir, immediately, Mr. Kim. Pack your desk." Minho's smile held no warmth. "Unless you'd prefer to seek employment elsewhere." The man fled. Serafina appeared in the doorway minutes later, arms crossed. "That was unnecessary." "Was it?" He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "He was being friendly, that's all. He was touching you. He touched my arm, in a completely professional." She stopped, her eyes narrowing. "Wait, are you jealous?" The accusation hung in the air. Minho could have denied it, should have denied it. Instead, he stood and moved toward her with deliberate slowness. "Yes." She blinked. You can't just transfer people because I can do whatever I want." He stopped inches from her, close enough to smell her perfume, something floral and intoxicating. "This is my company, my empire, and I don't share." I'm not yours to share or not share, she said, but her voice wavered. Aren't you? He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. She shivered. Because it feels like you've been mine since the moment you walked through that door 6 months ago. I just didn't realize it until I saw you in that red dress. Mr. Kang, Min-ho, he corrected. Say my name. This is inappropriate. I don't care. His hand cupped her cheek. Serafina, I don't care about appropriate or professional or any of it. I care that some man took you on a date last Friday. I care that Kim touched you. I care that every time you smile at someone else, I want to burn the building down. She stared at him, lips parted, breathing fast. You're insane. Probably. He smiled without humor. But I'm honest. Can you say the same? Tell me you don't feel this thing between us. Tell me I'm imagining it. She swallowed hard. I can't. Victory surged through him. Then stop fighting it. You're my boss. I'll fire you. The offer was immediate, reckless. Hire you back as a consultant. Pay you triple. Whatever you need to feel like this is okay. It's not about the job. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It's about the fact that you terrify me. That stopped him. I would never hurt you. I know. But you could. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. You have all the power, Min-ho. The money, the connections, the control. And I'm just me. What happens when you get bored? When you realize I'm not worth the trouble? The vulnerability in her voice cracked something open inside him. He pulled her fully into his arms, and for once, she didn't resist. You think you're not worth it? Serafina, you're the only thing that's felt real in years. The only person who looks at me and sees more than the empire or the reputation. You see me. That's what scares me, she admitted against his chest. Because I see you, and I'm already falling. And when you leave, I won't. He tilted her face up, forcing her to meet his eyes. I don't do anything halfway. Not business, not war, and definitely not this. If I'm in, I'm all in. Completely. Do you understand? She studied his face for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. Okay. Okay? Okay. A small smile tugged at her lips. But if you transfer anyone else for talking to me, we're going to have problems. He laughed, the sound rusty from disuse. No promises. That evening, Min-ho's younger brother, Ji-woo, burst into the office without knocking. Hyung, we have a problem. Serafina looked up from her desk in the adjoining room. Min-ho gestured for privacy, and she gathered her things to leave. Stay, Min-ho said. The word was a command and a plea. She hesitated, then obeyed. Ji-woo shot him a questioning look as she closed the door and sat. She stays, Min-ho repeated, surprising himself. But if they were doing this, if she was his, then she needed to know what that meant. All of it. Ji-woo shrugged. The Nakamura syndicate is making moves. They hit one of our warehouses in Incheon. 3 men are dead. 2 critical. Min-ho's expression went cold. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. When? 2 hours ago. They left a message. Kang has gone soft. They're testing us, seeing if the rumors are true. What rumors? Min-ho's voice was deadly quiet. That you're distracted, weak, that you've lost your edge. Ji-woo glanced at Serafina. They heard about you keeping a woman close. They think it's a vulnerability. Serafina had gone pale. Min-ho wanted to shield her from this world, but something in him needed her to see, to understand what he was capable of. Arrange a meeting, Min-ho said. Tonight, their territory. That's suicide, Ji-woo protested. They'll be armed, expecting you. That's the point. Min-ho's smile held no warmth. Tell them Kang Min-ho is coming, alone, unarmed, to talk. Hyung, tell them. Minho's tone left no room for argument. "And mobilize our forces. Keep them 2 blocks out. If I don't walk out in 30 minutes, burn the entire district to the ground." After Jiwoo left, Serafina stood on shaky legs. Her hands trembled. "You can't go alone. Those men died. You're talking about more death like it's business?" He stood, circling his desk. "It is business, Miss Cole. This is my world. Violence, strategy, power. Welcome to reality." Her eyes flashed with something between fear and anger. "I know what you are. I've known since I started working here. The question is, do you know what you're becoming?" The challenge in her voice did something to him. Made him want to prove himself, or maybe ruin himself, just to keep her looking at him like that. Like he mattered beyond the empire and bloodshed. "And what am I becoming?" he asked softly, moving closer. "Someone who doesn't have to be alone." She grabbed her purse, fingers clutching the leather. "But you will be if you keep pushing everyone away. If you keep treating life like it's disposable. Those men who died, they had families. And you're going to walk into an ambush because your pride won't let you show caution." "It's not pride," he caught her hand. "It's survival. If I show weakness, 10 other groups will try the same thing. More people will die. The only way to prevent that is to be more dangerous than any threat they can imagine." "And her?" She pulled free, gesturing at herself. "Am I a weakness?" "Yes." The admission was raw, honest. "You're the biggest weakness I've ever had. But you're also the only thing that makes any of this worthwhile." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "Then don't throw your life away. Please, find another way." "There is no other way." He cupped her face, thumbs stroking her cheeks. "But I promise you, I will come back. And when I do, we're going to talk about this. About us. No more avoiding it." "Minho." He kissed her, hard and desperate and achingly brief. Then he grabbed his jacket and left before he could change his mind. That night, Minho walked into Nakamura territory, with his hands in his pockets and death in his eyes. The warehouse district of Incheon was all rusted metal and broken streetlights. 20 men surrounded him within seconds, guns drawn. Nakamura himself stepped forward, a man in his 50s, with scars and cold eyes. "Kong, you actually came. I said I would." Minho's voice was casual, conversational. "I hear you think I've gone soft. You're here alone, unarmed, stupid with love for some foreign woman." Nakamura circled him. "Seems soft to me." "Does it?" Minho smiled. "Let me clarify something. That warehouse you hit? Those men you killed? That was a mistake. But it's a mistake I'm willing to overlook if you make it right." "Overlook?" Nakamura laughed. "You're not in a position to dictate terms." "Aren't I?" Minho pulled out his phone, pressing a single button. Immediately, the sound of engines filled the air. Headlights blazed from every direction. Hundreds of men materialized from the shadows surrounding the warehouse. "You see, I didn't come here to negotiate. I came here to send a message." Nakamura's face paled. "You said alone." "I am alone. They're just insurance." Minho's expression went arctic. "Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to compensate the families of the men you killed. 5 million won each. You're going to publicly apologize to my organization and me. And you're going to leave Seoul entirely, permanently. And if I refuse, then my men burn this entire district, with you in it." Minho stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper. "You were right about one thing. I do love a woman. And that makes me more dangerous than I've ever been, because now I have something to protect. So yes, I've changed. I'm not just a monster anymore. I'm a monster with something to lose. Which means I'll go further than you can imagine, keeping it." A gun pressed against Minho's spine. He didn't flinch. "You have 24 hours to comply," he continued calmly. "After that, I declare war. And trust me, you'll lose. You'll lose everything. Your territory, your family, your life. Is your pride worth that?" The silence stretched. Finally, Nakamura lowered his gun. "Fine. 24 hours. Minho smiled. Smart choice. He walked out the same way he came in, untouched, because they knew he meant every single word. By the end of the week, Nakamura had paid. Handsomely. The families of the fallen received their compensation. A public apology was issued. The Nakamura syndicate relocated to Busan, leaving Seoul territory entirely. Word spread through the underground. Kang Min-ho was not to be tested. But Min-ho barely noticed. His mind was consumed by a woman in a red dress who'd begged him not to throw his life away. Serafina had been distant since that night, professional to the point of cold. She answered his questions with yes or no. She avoided being alone with him. She left exactly at 5 every evening. It was destroying him. Wednesday morning, he found her office desk empty. Panic seized him until he discovered she'd called in sick. He was in his car within minutes. Serafina's apartment was in a modest building in Itaewon. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again, harder. The door cracked open. She looked exhausted, wrapped in an oversized sweater, eyes red. "Mr. Kang? What are you doing here? You weren't at work." He pushed inside, scanning the small space. "Are you sick? Do you need a doctor?" "I'm fine. Just needed a day." She closed the door, arms wrapped around herself. "You shouldn't be here." "Why not?" "Because," her voice cracked, "because I've been trying to put distance between us, and you showing up at my apartment makes that impossible." "Good." He moved closer. "I don't want distance. I want the opposite of distance." "Well, I need it." She turned away. "Minho, I watched you walk out that door last week, ready to die. I spent 4 hours not knowing if you'd come back. Do you know what that felt like? I came back. This time." She spun to face him, tears streaming. "But there will be a next time, and a time after that. Because this is who you are. And I can't live like that. Loving someone who treats his life like it's expendable." "Loving?" His heart stopped. "You love me?" She closed her eyes. "Of course I love you. I've been in love with you for months. Why do you think I'm so terrified?" Minho crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her against him. "Then be terrified with me. Don't run. Don't hide. Just be with me. I'll be more careful. I'll take fewer risks." "You can't promise that." "Then I'll try." He tilted her face up, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Serafina, I'm not good at this. I don't know how to be soft or safe. But I know that losing you would destroy me. So tell me what you need. Tell me how to make this work." "I need you to value your life," she whispered. "I need you to come home. Every night. To me." Done. The following week, Serafina returned to work with 2 bodyguards shadowing her every move. The entire office treated her like royalty. Word had spread about what happened, about what Minho had done. "Your boss is terrifying," one junior staff member whispered. "But also kind of romantic?" Serafina smiled. "He's both." Minho appeared in the doorway of her office. She'd been moved to a larger space adjacent to his, with glass walls, so he could see her at all times. "Miss Cole." "My office." "Now." She followed, closing the door behind her. He immediately pulled her close, hand spanning her waist. "Can't focus," he murmured against her neck. "You're too far away. I'm literally 30 feet from you. 30 feet too far." He kissed the spot below her ear that made her shiver. "Move your desk. Inside my office. That's completely inappropriate. I don't care." His hand slid lower. "Serafina, Having you out of sight makes me insane. Please, I need you close." She laughed softly. "You really are obsessed. Desperately, completely, irrevocably obsessed." He wasn't joking. "Say yes." "Fine. Yes." She relented because she understood. After the kidnapping, they both needed proximity. "But we're maintaining professional boundaries during work hours." His smile was wicked. "Of course. Very professional." By afternoon, her desk sat inside his office, positioned so he could see her at all times. They worked side by side, stealing glances and touches when no one was looking, professional on the surface, but completely gone for each other underneath. A few weeks later, Minho asked Serafina to accompany him to a formal event, a charity gala where Seoul's elite would gather. Celebrities, politicians, business tycoons, and the occasional criminal masquerading as legitimate. "As your girlfriend?" she asked carefully, standing in his closet surrounded by designer gowns he'd had delivered. "As my everything." He came up behind her, arms circling her waist. "I want everyone to see you, to know what you mean to me. They'll talk. Let them." He kissed her shoulder. "I want the world to know you're mine." She selected an emerald silk gown that made Minho's mouth go dry. It clung to every curve, showcasing her beautiful body in ways that made him want to skip the entire event and take her back to bed. Instead, he helped her zip it up, slowly, reverently, and clasped a diamond necklace around her throat. "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." "You have to say that." "I'm saying it because it's true." He turned her to face him. "Ready to scandalize high society?" "With you." "Always." The gala was held in one of Seoul's most opulent hotels. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, champagne flowing freely. Serafina felt underdressed despite the designer gown, but Minho's hand remained possessive on her waist, grounding her. People stared, whispered. The untouchable Kang Minho had brought a date, a curvy American woman no one recognized. The speculation was immediate and vicious. "They're talking about us," Serafina murmured. "Let them." He pulled her onto the dance floor as a waltz began. "I want everyone to know you're mine." As they swayed together, Serafina felt something shift. This wasn't just attraction or infatuation. This was real, permanent, the kind of love that rewrote everything. "What are you thinking?" Minho asked, reading her expression. 6 months ago, I moved to Seoul to escape heartbreak, and now I found something I didn't know existed." "What's that?" "A love worth fighting for." She looked up at him. "You're worth fighting for." His eyes darkened with emotion. "Serafina." "Mr. Kang." An older man interrupted, all false smiles. "Lovely to see you. And who is this enchanting creature?" Minho's jaw clenched, but he remained polite. "Serafina Cole. My girlfriend." "Serafina, this is Chairman Park. He sits on several boards." Chairman Park's eyes roamed over her in a way that made her skin crawl. "Charming. Tell me, Miss Cole, how does a woman like you capture the attention of Seoul's most eligible bachelor?" "By being herself," Minho answered coldly. "If you'll excuse us." He guided Serafina away, his hand tightening on her waist. "I'm going to kill him." "Minho?" "The way he looked at you was gross, yes, but you can't murder everyone who looks at me wrong." She smiled. "You'd run out of people pretty quickly." He didn't return the smile. "I don't like sharing, even visually." "I'm not asking you to share." She stopped, turning to face him fully. "I'm yours, completely. Only yours. But you have to trust that." "I do trust you. It's everyone else I want to eliminate." She laughed, and the tension broke. They spent the rest of the evening dancing, talking with various power players, and sneaking kisses in quiet corners. By the time they left, everyone knew. Kong Min-ho was completely, utterly, obviously in love. Later that evening, back at the penthouse, Min-ho couldn't keep his hands off her. He unzipped her dress with agonizing slowness, kissing every inch of exposed skin. "You were perfect tonight," he murmured against her shoulder. "Every man in that room wanted you, and you were mine." "Only yours," she confirmed, turning in his arms. "Always." He lifted her easily, carrying her to the bedroom. What followed was intense and consuming, a claiming and a surrender all at once. They learned each other's bodies with renewed passion, finding new ways to bring pleasure, to connect. When they finally lay tangled together, breathless and satisfied, Min-ho reached for something on the nightstand, a small velvet box. Serafina's breath caught. "Min-ho, it's not what you think. Not yet." He opened it, revealing a delicate diamond ring. "This is a promise ring. I know it's too soon for more, but I want you to have this. A symbol that I'm serious, that you're not temporary, that when the time is right, I'll ask properly." Tears filled her eyes. "You're unbelievable. Is that a yes?" "It's a yes to everything." She let him slide the ring onto her right hand. "To you. To this. To us." He kissed her with such reverence that Serafina felt her last defenses crumble completely. They made love again, slower this time, savoring every touch, every kiss, every whispered promise. The following week settled into a beautiful rhythm. Serafina officially made the penthouse her home, her belongings mixing with his. They worked together during the day and fell asleep tangled together each night. Min-ho introduced her to his family. His mother adored her immediately. Ji-woo teased them mercilessly but approved. Min-ho found himself smiling more, laughing, planning a future that included more than just empire and survival. He took fewer risks, delegated more, came home on time. For the first time in his life, he had something more important than power. He had love. He had Serafina. Life felt perfect, almost too perfect. Then, one evening in December, Serafina started feeling unwell, exhausted, nauseous, emotional. "It's probably just stress," she insisted when Min-ho worried. "I'm fine." But when it continued for 3 days, he called his doctor. The examination was quick. The results came back 2 days later. Serafina stared at the test in her bathroom, mind spinning. Pregnant. She was pregnant? They'd been careful. Mostly. But apparently not careful enough. Or maybe this was meant to happen. Either way, she was carrying Min-ho's child. "Min-ho is going to—" She didn't know how to finish that sentence. They'd only been together a few months. This was too fast, too soon, too much. When he came home that evening, she was pacing the living room, the test clutched in her hand. "What's wrong?" He was at her side instantly, concern etched across his handsome face. "Are you sick? Did the doctor call? Should I? I'm pregnant." The words tumbled out. Min-ho went completely still. His eyes moved from the test to her face and back. "Pregnant. I know we didn't plan this. I know it's too fast and crazy, and we haven't even—" He dropped to his knees in front of her, pressing his face against her still flat stomach. His shoulders shook. When he looked up, tears streamed down his cheeks. "We're having a baby," he whispered, voice filled with wonder. "You're happy?" She'd expected anger, maybe panic. Not this. "Happy?" He stood, pulling her into his arms. "Serafina, you just gave me everything. My child. Our family. Of course I'm happy. I don't have words for what I am. I thought you'd be angry. Never." He cupped her face, thumbs wiping her tears. "Never. This is perfect. You're perfect. Our baby is perfect. We're not married. We've only been together. Then we fix that." He kissed her deeply. Marry me. Minho, no, listen. He pulled back, hand still framing her face. I was going to wait. Do this properly. Big romantic gesture. But I can't wait. Not now. Not when you're carrying our child. Marry me, Serafina. Let me make this official. Let me be yours in every possible way. Yes. The answer came instantly from her heart. Yes, yes, yes. His kiss was celebration and promise and overwhelming love. They held each other in the fading light, two people who'd found something impossible in each other. That night, they made love with new reverence, Minho worshipping her body, whispering promises to the child growing inside her, and Serafina fell even more deeply in love with the dangerous man who'd become her everything. The wedding happened 3 weeks later, a small, elegant ceremony at a private chapel, close family and friends only. Serafina wore simple white lace that barely covered her belly. Minho wore a tailored black suit and couldn't stop crying. You're supposed to be the dangerous mafia boss, Jiwoo teased from his position as best man. Shut up, Minho said, wiping his eyes. She's walking toward me. That's everything. When Serafina reached him, escorted by Minho's mother, who'd claimed her as a daughter, he took her hands. Hi. Hi, she whispered, smiling through her own tears. The ceremony passed in a blur of vows and rings, and the sweetest kiss of Serafina's life. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Minho lifted her and spun her around, both of them laughing. Mrs. Kang, he murmured against her lips. Mr. Kang, she replied, heart overflowing. The reception was intimate and joyful. They danced, ate, celebrated, surrounded by people they loved. And when they finally left, for their honeymoon, a week in a private villa in Jeju Island, they felt like the luckiest people alive. 6 months later, on a spring morning when cherry blossoms painted Seoul pink, Serafina went into labor. Minho, who'd faced down armed enemies without flinching, was absolutely terrified. You're sure this is normal? This much pain is normal? Very normal, the doctor assured him for the 10th time. I hate this. We're adopting next time. He held Serafina's hand, looking devastated every time she winced. You said you wanted 6 kids, she reminded him between contractions. I was insane, delusional. 1 is perfect. You're perfect. I love you so much. Please don't die. She laughed despite the pain. I'm not dying. I'm having a baby. Our baby. Our perfect, beautiful baby who's taking way too long. Minho, breathe. I'm breathing. You breathe. 12 hours later, their daughter was born. Tiny, perfect, with Minho's dark eyes and Serafina's smile. The nurse placed her in Minho's arms, and he completely fell apart. Tears streamed down his face as he stared at the tiny human he'd helped create. She's so small. She's perfect, Serafina said from the bed, exhausted but glowing, like her mother. He sat carefully beside his wife, their daughter cradled between them. What should we name her? Mina, Serafina suggested. It means love in Korean, and wisdom. Mina Kang. Minho tested the name, then kissed his daughter's forehead. Perfect. She's absolutely perfect. Over the next hour, the family arrived. Minho's mother wept. Jiwoo took approximately 1,000 photos. Serafina's parents video called from New York, crying happy tears. But eventually, everyone left, and it was just the 3 of them. Minho sat in the chair beside Serafina's bed, Mina sleeping peacefully in his arms. His wife dozed, worn out from labor. He looked at them, his wife, his daughter, his family, and felt something shift in his chest. All the violence, all the darkness, all the years of building an empire, it had led him here, to this moment, to them. Thank you, he whispered to Serafina, even though she was sleeping. But she stirred, opening her eyes. For what? For seeing me. For choosing me. For giving me this. He gestured to Mina, to their life, to everything they'd built. Thank you for coming after me, she replied softly. For proving yourself. For loving me like I'm everything. You are everything. He leaned over carefully and kissed her. My whole world. Both of you. Outside, Seoul glittered in the afternoon light. Inside, the most feared man in the city held his family and felt peace for the first time in his life. 3 months after Mina's birth, Minho discovered what true fear felt like. Not the fear of death or violence. He'd faced those countless times. But the fear of losing everything that mattered. It started with a phone call at 3 a.m. Hyung, Jiwoo's voice was tense. We have a problem. The triads are making moves. They want Seoul territory. Minho carefully extracted himself from bed, trying not to wake Serafina or the baby sleeping in the bassinet. He stepped into the hallway. Details. They've been meeting with our distributors, offering better deals. They want to squeeze us out without direct conflict. Smart. Minho ran a hand through his hair. And dangerous. If we lose the distributors, we lose everything. What do you want to do? Minho glanced back at his bedroom, where his wife and daughter slept peacefully. Set up a meeting. Tomorrow. Neutral territory. I'll handle it. Hyung, maybe you should. Tomorrow, Jiwoo. He hung up and stood in the dark hallway, feeling the weight of responsibility crushing him. He'd promised Serafina he'd be more careful, take fewer risks, but the Empire demanded constant vigilance. One moment of weakness, and everything would crumble, including his family's safety. The next morning, Serafina found him in his office, staring at his computer without really seeing it. Mina was strapped to her chest in a baby carrier, sleeping peacefully. You didn't come back to bed, she said softly. Couldn't sleep. He looked up, and the love that flooded through him was almost painful. His girls, his everything. What's wrong? She moved closer, reading his expression. And don't say nothing. I know you. He sighed. Business complications. The triads want our territory. Fear flickered across her face. Is it dangerous? It could be. He stood, crossing to her. But I'll handle it. I always do. Minho, I know. I promise to be careful. He cupped her face. And I will be. But I can't just walk away from everything I've built. This empire provides for us, protects us. I know. She leaned into his touch. Just come home. To us. Always come home. Always, he promised, kissing her forehead. Then he kissed Mina's tiny head. I have too much to live for now. That afternoon, Minho met with the triad representatives at a high-end restaurant. 5 men, all dangerous, all calculating. Their leader was a woman named Zhang Wei, sharp, ambitious, ruthless. Mr. Kang, she smiled without warmth. Thank you for meeting with us. Let's skip the pleasantries. Minho leaned back. You're trying to undermine my operations. Why? Business, she said simply. Seoul is profitable. We want in. Seoul is mine. For now. Her smile widened. But empires fall, Mr. Kang, especially when their leaders get distracted. The implication was clear. They knew about Serafina, about Mina. They were testing him, seeing if fatherhood had made him weak. You're right, Minho said calmly. I have become distracted by my wife, my daughter, my family. He leaned forward, and his expression went cold. Which makes me more dangerous than I've ever been, because now I have something to protect, and I will destroy anyone who threatens them, completely, without hesitation. Big words. Try me. His smile was terrifying. Make one move against my family, and I'll show you exactly what I'm capable of. You'll wish you'd never heard the name Kang. The meeting ended with tentative peace, But Minho knew it was temporary. Zhang Wei was ambitious. She'd try again. It was only a matter of time. The following weeks were tense. Minho increased security around the penthouse. Bodyguards followed Serafina everywhere. He barely slept, constantly checking surveillance, monitoring threats. "You're exhausted," Serafina said one evening, finding him in his office at midnight. "Come to bed." "In a minute." He didn't look up from his screens. "Minho." She moved behind his chair, hands on his shoulders. "You're going to make yourself sick. Let Jiwoo handle some of this." "I can't. If something happens, nothing will happen. You've done everything possible to keep us safe." She turned his chair, forcing him to face her. "But you're no good to us if you collapse from exhaustion." He pulled her onto his lap, burying his face in her neck. "I'm scared." The admission cost him. Serafina wrapped her arms around him. "I know, me too. But we can't live in fear. That's not life. I can't lose you, either of you." "You won't." She kissed his temple. "We're right here. We're safe. Come to bed." He let her lead him to their bedroom, where Mina slept in her crib. They lay together in the dark, and Minho listened to his daughter's soft breathing, his wife's steady heartbeat. Slowly, his anxiety eased. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you too." Serafina's fingers traced patterns on his chest. "All of you. The protector and the man who'd burn the world down for us." "In a heartbeat," he confirmed. "I know." She kissed him softly. "That's why we're staying right here. With you. Always." A few days later, the situation escalated. Minho was in a meeting when Jiwoo burst in, face pale. "They took her." Deja vu hit like a freight train. "No. Not Serafina. Your mother. The triads grabbed her an hour ago. They're demanding you surrender half your territory." Minho's vision went red. "Where's Serafina?" "Safe at the penthouse. Triple security. But Hyung, they have Yama." His mother. The woman who'd raised him and Jiwoo alone after their father died. Who'd sacrificed everything for them. Who'd welcomed Serafina with open arms. "Mobilize everyone," Minho said, voice deadly calm. "Find her. Now." Within an hour, they had a location. An abandoned warehouse in Gangnam. Classic setup. Minho geared up, checking weapons with methodical precision. Jiwoo watched, concerned. "Let me come with you." "No. Stay with Serafina and Mina. If this goes wrong, they'll need you." "Hyung." "That's an order." Minho's expression softened slightly. "Take care of my family. Please." Jiwoo nodded, and Minho left before his resolve could crack. The warehouse was surrounded within 30 minutes. Minho's forces moved like ghosts, taking out perimeter guards silently. He went in through the front, flanked by his best men. Zhang Wei stood in the center, his mother tied to a chair beside her. "Mr. Kang, I was beginning to think you wouldn't come." "Let her go." "Of course, after you agree to my terms." "I agree to nothing." Minho's gun remained steady. "Release her, or everyone in this building dies, starting with you. Kill me, and your mother dies. Then we both lose." He smiled coldly. "But at least I'll have the satisfaction of watching you bleed out first." A tense standoff. Then chaos erupted. One of Zhang Wei's men fired. Minho's team returned fire. The warehouse exploded into violence. Minho moved through it with deadly precision, focused solely on reaching his mother. He dropped anyone in his path. Finally, he reached her, cutting her restraints. "Yama, I've got you." "Minho-ya!" she gasped. "Behind you!" He spun, firing. Zhang Wei dropped, a hole in her chest. Her men scattered, outgunned, and leaderless. Minho lifted his mother, carrying her out of the carnage. "You're safe now, I promise." Back at the penthouse, Serafina met them at the door. She'd been crying. Minho could see the tear tracks. but she pulled herself together, helping his mother inside. "I'm fine," his mother insisted, "just shaken." "You're staying here," Minho said firmly, "where I can protect you." His mother looked at him, really looked at him, and smiled sadly. "My son, always so protective. Because I love you. Because I can't lose anyone else." Later that night, after his mother was settled in a guest room and Mina was asleep, Serafina found Minho on the balcony, staring at the city. "Talk to me," she said softly. "I killed someone tonight. Again." His voice was hollow. "Zhang Wei. I shot her without hesitation. To save your mother. Does that make it better?" He turned to her. "I'm a father now. What kind of example am I setting?" "The example of someone who protects his family." She moved closer. "Minho, you're not a monster. You're a man doing impossible things in an impossible situation. Some days I don't know the difference." She took his hands. "I do. And the difference is that you care. You feel the weight of every choice. Monsters don't do that." He pulled her into his arms. "I don't deserve you." "Yes, you do. And you deserve peace. Happiness. A life that's more than just survival. With you and Mina, I have that. Then hold on to it." She looked up at him. "Whatever comes next, we face it together. Okay?" "Okay," he agreed, and kissed her like she was his anchor to humanity. The following months brought change. With Zhang Wei dead and the triads retreating, Minho had breathing room. He started delegating more to Jiwoo and trusted lieutenants. He came home on time, had dinner with his family, read bedtime stories to Mina even though she was too young to understand. He was trying to be more than just the empire. Trying to be the husband and father his family deserved. One evening, Serafina found him in Mina's nursery, just watching her sleep. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Being the most devoted father on the planet." She moved beside him, slipping her hand into his. "She's lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have her, both of you." He wrapped an arm around Serafina's waist. "Sometimes I can't believe this is my life, that I get to have this. Believe it, because we're not going anywhere." Mina stirred in her sleep, making tiny baby noises. Minho smiled, a real, genuine smile that transformed his usually serious face. "I want more," he said suddenly. "More what?" "More kids, more moments like this, more everything with you." Serafina laughed softly. "Let's maybe wait until this one sleeps through the night first." "Fair." He kissed her temple. "But eventually, I want a house full of our children, chaos and laughter and love. From a man who used to live in calculated silence. You changed me." He turned to face her fully. "You and Mina. You made me want more than just survival. You made me want a life." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "I love you so much. I love you more." He kissed her deeply. Impossible amounts. Unreasonable amounts. They stood together in the nursery, watching their daughter sleep, and felt grateful for the life they'd built. A few weeks later, Minho received an unexpected phone call. "Mr. Kang, this is Detective Shin, Seoul Metropolitan Police." Minho's blood went cold. "Yes?" "I'd like to meet, to discuss your business operations." "I'm not sure what you mean." "I think you do. Tomorrow, Gangnam Station, 10 a.m. Come alone, or I'll be forced to bring you in officially." The call ended. Minho stared at his phone, mind racing. The police had been paid off for years. What had changed? Jiwoo provided answers within hours. "Detective Shin is new, transferred from Busan. He's clean, won't take bribes, and he's building a case against you." "How much does he have?" "Enough to cause problems, not enough to convict. Yet." Minho ran scenarios. He could eliminate the problem. One detective wouldn't be hard to handle, but that would draw more attention, and he'd promised Serafina he'd be smarter, take fewer risks. I'll meet with him, Minho decided. See what he wants. Detective Shin was younger than expected, maybe early 30s, with sharp eyes and an idealistic air that made Minho want to laugh. The coffee shop near Gangnam Station was neutral, public, and safe. Kong, thank you for coming. Let's skip the pleasantries. What do you want? Justice. Shin slid a folder across the table. I know what you are, what you do, and I'm going to prove it. Minho didn't open the folder. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. I don't care how many officials you've bought, or how much power you think you have. The law will catch up to you eventually. And if it doesn't, then I haven't done my job. Shin leaned forward. You have a wife now. A daughter. Don't you want better for them? A life that's not built on violence? The question hit harder than Minho expected. Because yes, he did want better. He wanted Mina to grow up without fear, without danger, without a father who might disappear into prison, or worse. I'll think about it, Minho said quietly. That's all I ask. Shin stood. I'm not your aunt or Mr. Kong. I'm just trying to make the city safer. For everyone, including your family. He left, and Minho sat alone with his thoughts. That evening, he told Serafina everything. He's right, she said quietly. About Mina, about the kind of life we're giving her. I know, Minho paced their bedroom. But I can't just walk away. The Empire doesn't work like that. People depend on me, and our enemies would see it as weakness. So what do we do? I don't know. He stopped, looking at her. For the first time in my life, I genuinely don't know the right move. Serafina moved to him, taking his hands. Then maybe it's time to start building something new, something legitimate. You're smart, Minho. You could run actual businesses without the criminal element. It would take years, and we'd be vulnerable during the transition, but we'd be building towards something better. Her eyes held his. Isn't that worth it? For Mina? For any future children we might have? He thought about his daughter, about the life he wanted for her, about the man he wanted to be in her eyes. Okay, he said finally. Okay, let's do it. Let's build something better. The decision felt monumental, terrifying. Right. The next 3 years were the hardest of Minho's life, systematically dismantling criminal operations while building legitimate ones, facing betrayal from former allies, navigating legal scrutiny from Detective Shin, who became something like a reluctant ally as he saw Minho actually trying to change. Through it all, Serafina stood beside him, supporting him, loving him, believing in him even when he didn't believe in himself. Mina grew into a bright, curious 3-year-old. She had Minho's dark eyes and Serafina's smile, and she was the center of their universe. They had another child, a son named Jin, who was 1 year old and already showing signs of his father's stubborn personality. The family lived in a new house now, outside the city. Safer, more private, with a yard where the children could play. Minho still ran his businesses, all legitimate now. Real estate, technology investments, consulting. He was still powerful, still wealthy, but clean. Legal. It wasn't perfect. Former enemies occasionally surfaced. Detective Shin still watched him carefully, and sometimes Minho missed the simplicity of the old ways. But then Mina would climb into his lap, or Jin would laugh at something silly, or Serafina would smile at him across the dinner table, and he'd remember why. He'd made the choice. One evening, sitting on their back porch while the children played in the yard, Serafina leaned against Minho's shoulder. Do you ever regret it? Leaving that life behind? No. The answer was immediate, honest. This is better. Harder, but better. Because of us? Because of us, he confirmed. You gave me a reason to be more than just survival and violence. You gave me a life worth living. You gave yourself that life. I just encouraged it. He kissed her hair. You saved me. In every way a person can be saved. Mina ran up, breathless from playing. Appa, watch me. She did a clumsy cartwheel, and Minho applauded like she'd just won an Olympic medal. Jin toddled over, wanting attention too, and Minho scooped him up. My favorite people, he said, looking at his family. My whole world. Serafina's hand found his, squeezing gently. And you're ours. Later that night, after the children were asleep, Minho found Serafina in their bedroom, staring at something in her hand. She looked up, smiling nervously. So, remember how you said you wanted more kids? It took him a moment. Then his eyes widened. You're pregnant again? Surprise. She held up the test. I know we said we'd wait, but he crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. This is perfect. You're perfect. I love you so much. She laughed, relieved. You're really happy? Ecstatic, terrified, overwhelmed. He kissed her deeply, but mostly just grateful. For you, for this life, for everything we've built. Even though it's messy and chaotic and nothing like you planned. Especially because of that. He rested his forehead against hers. You took a man who knew only darkness and taught him about light, about love, about what really matters. You taught me about strength, about loyalty, about love that's worth fighting for. They held each other, 2 people who'd found something impossible together, a love that had survived danger, betrayal, fear, and transformation. Outside, Seoul glittered in the distance, but inside their home, surrounded by the life they'd built, they felt only peace. 6 months later, they welcomed another daughter, Emma, who had Serafina's curls and Minho's stubborn chin. The family of 5 settled into a new rhythm. Chaotic mornings, laughter-filled dinners, bedtime stories that Minho still read with perfect seriousness, even when the children made him start over. Ji-woo visited often, doting on his nieces and nephew. Minho's mother lived in the guest house, helping with the children, and finally relaxed without constant danger. Detective Shin became an unlikely friend, someone who'd held Minho accountable, but also recognized genuine change when he saw it. And Serafina watched it all unfold, amazed at the man Minho had become. He was still intense, still protective, still possessive in the way that made her heart race. But he was also gentle, playful, devoted. One evening, lying in bed after a particularly chaotic day, Serafina traced patterns on Minho's chest. Remember when you asked me where I was going in that red dress? He smiled. How could I forget? That's when I realized I was completely gone for you. I was so frustrated with you that night. You were so arrogant and controlling. I still am, just slightly better at hiding it. She laughed. True, but look at us now. 3 kids, a real life, actual happiness. All because I was jealous and possessive and couldn't stand the thought of you with someone else. Best jealousy ever, she teased. He rolled, pinning her beneath him with gentle weight. I love you, Serafina Kong, more than I have words for. I love you too, my dangerous, devoted, impossible man. They made love slowly, tenderly, celebrating the life they'd built together. And afterwards, lying tangled together in the dark, they felt grateful for every twist and turn that had brought them here.